From the 11 Alive studios, this is The Georgia Vote with Faith Jesse and Zach Merchant.
Good morning. Zach is on assignment this morning. Well, we are less than 2 months until Georgia's primary election, the May 19th vote that will decide party nominees for several races, with governor at the top of that statewide ballot. Well, on the Republican side, there are 4 prominent contenders. Current Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, and Healthcare Executive Rick Jackson are all hoping to get that nomination and advance to November's general election. Also in the mix is Attorney General Chris Carr. He bills himself as a tough, principled conservative who is fighting crime and creating jobs. Well, this week I sat down one-on-one with Mr. Carr, and we spoke extensively about Georgia's abortion law, but we began our conversation with his standing in the current polling. We are about 2 months away from the primary. When you look at the polls, right now you're polling in certain polls in the single digits. How are you feeling about those numbers right now?
Look, I feel great where we're going because it's early. We are just starting. I know you're saying we're 2 months away, but in politics, unfortunately, people don't oftentimes pay attention to the race until you get closer to the race. Look, this race is going to be won by the person that has the best record, a good history, who can win in November, and that means the one that can appeal to the independent voter that's growing in the state of Georgia. The one that is not going to win this race is the person that raises their hand and says, I've got the most money and I've got one endorsement. No matter what party you're in, it's about appealing to that independent voter. So when you look at my record of spending time in Washington, bringing jobs to the state, keeping people safe, looking at the fact that I'm going to appeal to those independent voters. If you are a Republican, you're going to start seeing us more on television. You're going to see the advertising, and it's going to be clear. I'm the one that can win in November, and I feel very good about that.
When it comes to protecting the life of the mother, what exactly does that mean? Because right now it seems like there's some confusion.
Faith, there's not confusion, except by those that want to create it. Look, I believe in the dignity, the value, and the worth of every human being. The whole purpose behind the law was to protect life, the life of the mother and the life of the unborn. Some have concerns, but they're generally political concerns. They're not really medical concerns, and I would just disagree with those that say it. Look, there are 6 different exceptions to this rule, and at the end of the day, it's to protect life, the life of the mother and the life of the unborn. There are some that disagree with that, but that's my position. I believe in the dignity, value, and worth of every human being, and to me that is the mother and the unborn child. So there's not gray area. The law is clear. It's only those that want to create political problems, in my opinion, that are doing so.
A lot of the medical doctors, I mean, they're not politicians, they're just doctors trying to do their job, but fearful that they will, be harmed or prosecuted because they do a procedure that they weren't supposed to do. They want to make sure that everything is gravy when it comes to the law, that they're following the law. So once again, would you commit to outlining a document that says A, B, and C, you will go to jail, C, D, F, you can do this? Right now, it doesn't seem like there's anything like that on the books.
It's the responsibility of a district attorney to bring those lawsuits. But I'll tell you this, if any doctor has any concern, err on the side of protecting life, the life of the mother and the life of the unborn, and I am confident they're not going to have a problem.
But there's still this, I want to go home to my kids and my family, and if I do this procedure, there is nothing black and white that's going to protect me. How do I know that if you become governor and another attorney general is installed, that I'm not going to go to jail for doing this?
No, I think that's important for them to have good legal counsel, whether it's through the doctor's office, through the hospital as well, because it's the role of the district attorney to make those criminal determinations. Again, I'd go back. The purpose of this law is to protect life, the life of the mother and the life of the unborn. If anybody is erring on the side of doing that, I am confident that they're going to be on the right side of this issue.
This was just a portion of our interview, my full interview with Attorney General Chris Carr. That is available right now, streaming on 11 Alive Plus. You can download the app for free. And if you haven't done so already, it's the perfect time to do it with the election year in full swing. Well, on the other side of the aisle in this race, State Representative Derrick Jackson is the only Democratic candidate for governor currently serving under the Gold Dome. Well, he is leaning on his military background and years of legislative experience. This week, I spoke with Jackson at the Capitol and I asked him what sets him apart from the other candidates. But what specifically sets you apart?
Yeah, so they're talking about programs. I'm introducing legislation. And so they're speaking hypothetical. I'm speaking about right now. That's what sets me apart, in all due respect. And so a lot of them quit. And we know they quit because we had to do a special election. End up spending tens of thousands of dollars more when they went on a special election. What sets me apart? Let me give you a clear example. Me against Jason Estevez. He signed on to the Trump bill. He said yes to Senate Bill 244, where Trump is now going to get $21 to $22 million from the Fulton County residents, because we're now going to hold the Fulton County residents, an area in which he represented, to pay for Trump's legal fees. He signed yes. I voted no against that bill. He signed yes to Senate Bill 82, a bill that's going to take away from our public education funding, where they already have a very scarce level of dollars already. He signed yes to that bill. I signed no. Or what sets me apart from Jeff Duncan, a person that I fought when he was in the House with me, and a person that I fought against when he was a lieutenant governor. He signed yes that a bill that takes away from the woman anatomy, remove your agency. He signed yes to that bill. He helped create where we have 82 counties you cannot find an OBGYN. That bill helped create that mess, where those who want to make sure that women stay alive during pregnancy, he signed yes to that bill. I signed no. And so when you start to look at the grassroots, what sets me apart against Jeff Duncan? His sorry cannot bring those 169 women back. His sorry cannot bring them 772 children back that died right here in Georgia. I'm fighting for families. What sets me apart, again, I like Keisha Lance Bottoms, but when she had the opportunity to really demonstrate her fight in 2020, she ended up asking this governor to bring in nearly 500 to 1,000 National Guard. That was the wrong move. You don't bring in a National Guard when you're the mayor of Atlanta, where you have 1,000 APD officers. And so that's what sets me apart.
Time now for our Politics Roundtable. Today we have Spiro Amber, Senior Vice President at McGuire Woods Consulting. He's previously served as Chief of Staff for Republican Georgia House Speakers John Burns and David Ralston. Devin Barrington Ward, a progressive community organizer, political activist, and managing director of the Black Futurist Group. And also with us this morning is Chauncey Alcorn, state and local politics reporter at Capital B Atlanta. And we won't know who is governor until, the election, of course. The voters will decide that. But whoever wins will have to deal with the state legislature. We also know this current session, about 2 weeks left. Sine die is on April 2nd. So, Spiro, I want to come to you first. What are you watching under the Gold Dome?
Yeah, so right now, we're after crossover. We're inside 2 weeks till the end of the session. So I think, the tensions between the House and the Senate are starting to heat up. You still got the state budget, which is in play, which is currently in the Senate's hands. Both chambers have tax measures. The House has a property tax measure. The Senate's primarily focused on income taxes. The Speaker has a bipartisan literacy initiative. So all of these things are in play as the negotiations, heat up toward the end of session.
Devin, I want to come to you because we heard from Mr. Jackson, who I mentioned there, the only Democrat candidate serving under the Gold Dome. And part of our interview, he says, I'm up here doing the work. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is just talking about what they're going to do. What do you take away from that?
Well, I think it's important that voters understand what people are currently doing in their leadership roles as they are seeking essentially a promotion to be the governor of Georgia. Some of the things that I'm looking at the Gold Dome, under the Gold Dome, is also Speaker Burns' literacy initiative. Nearly 1 in 3 Georgia children are not reading on grade level by the 3rd grade. That is abysmal statistics and something that is very concerning as a parent. But I'm also concerned that they might not make it over the finish line because of some of the bickering that's happening between Speaker Burns and Lieutenant Governor Burke Jones. I'm also watching Senate Bill 482, which could potentially make it really hard for victims of police brutality and abuse to actually request and receive body camera footage or other footage that's related to an incident that they may have had with law enforcement. So I'll be watching that because it'll be interesting how Republicans will be able to square that in the general with independent voters who have seen what has taken place with ICE and other law enforcement agencies around the country as they continue to try and reach out to minority voters. This is something that is concerning to that population.
And Chauncey, I want to bring you in here. We saw another big bill pass this week under the Gold Dome. That is to eliminate the state gas tax for a point in time, as it is very high right now. How do you think that'll resonate with voters?
Well, this is something that Governor Kemp, with his tax rebates, has it's enjoyed bipartisan praise from voters. Nobody likes to pay more for gasoline, and right now with the war and the oil prices going up, that's impacting a lot of people's, their bank accounts. I'm also keeping an eye on will the state legislature finally rein in corporate investors buying single-family homes in Georgia, especially Metro Atlanta. This is an issue that where Metro Atlanta has been the epicenter of this issue across the country. It's gained bipartisan support for multiple sessions now. And for what my sources tell me, that the real estate lobby has helped to kill this effort, especially last year with HB 555. This year, State Senator Greg Dolezal has a bill that has gained support. It passed ahead of crossover day. It is still needs to be passed in the House by April the 2nd, sine die, in order to get signed into law. Even President Trump is behind this now, along with Democrats. So it'll be interesting, with affordability being such a huge issue in the midterms, whether Republicans will, ultimately push this past the finish line.
Spiro, a couple seconds to you.
Yeah, good bipartisan measure there. I'm glad he mentioned that. That's currently in the House Judiciary Committee, so I think that's one to watch next week.
Affordability is going to be a key role. We're going to take a pause right here, gentlemen. We will see you all on the other side of this commercial break. Welcome back. The war with Iran continues to upend the global economy, and Congress support for President Trump's decision and the method in which that decision made falls mostly along partisan lines. Zach Merchant, he spoke with U.S. Congressman Buddy Carter, a Republican from Georgia's 1st District, who is also running for Senate, about the conflict so far.
What's your assessment of how the conflict has been going so far?
Well, I applaud the president for what he's doing. He is doing something that needed to be done for 47 years. Let's face it, Iran has been spreading terror throughout the world for 47 years now. And now we're finally doing something about it. Finally, we have a president who is addressing it. Iran is the leading state sponsor of terrorism in the world, and they have blood of American citizens on their hands. Blood of American citizens from the USS Cole. What happened in Israel on October the 7th? Yes, there were 1,000 Israelites who were killed there, but there were also 46 Americans who were killed. Let's not forget that.
What should be the administration's focus and goal and end game of this conflict?
Well, the administration's focus and their end game is clear, and that is to make sure that Iran never has a nuclear bomb, to make sure that Iran quits killing their own citizens, the protesters, over 30,000 that they have killed, to make sure that Iran is no longer a state sponsor of terrorism throughout the world. Listen, I would submit to you that the world is safer now than we were before this started.
Joe Kent, he's the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. He resigned, saying on social media that Iran, quote, posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. What do you say in response to those comments from Joe Kent?
I would disagree with him. I adamantly disagree. Look, an imminent threat, if you are if you're one of our troops in a base in the Middle East and Iran has missiles aimed at those bases, you consider it an imminent threat. It was an imminent threat, and I applaud the president for addressing that imminent threat. We cannot afford to let Iran do this.
Congressman, would you support putting American troops on the ground, or do you want to see this remain a primarily airstrike-only campaign?
I do not want to see boots on the ground. Neither does the president. None of us want to see boots on the ground. However, the president is not going to show his cards. He's not going to divulge what he's going to do. He's being very strategic about this, and that's the way he should be.
And Zach's interview with Congressman Buddy Carter aired live this past week on 11 Alive Plus. You can watch it again on demand by downloading 11 Alive Plus for free. And we are back with panel now. One byproduct with the war in Iran is rising gas prices, which we are seeing here in Georgia. On Friday, Governor Brian Kemp signing a 60-day suspension of the state gas tax, which was approved by both the state Senate and the state House. A bipartisan measure here. Nobody wants to pay $4 a gallon for regular gas. Spiro, affordability is the name of the game here. How does this impact voters heading into those primaries in May?
Well, clearly voters are concerned about affordability. That's the buzzword this year, and I think this is frankly an easy political decision when you can find ways that can immediately provide, relief to every Georgian. So I'm not surprised that this measure, suspending the gas tax temporarily, was passed this week. I mean, I guess the larger question is, what's the economy going to be doing over the coming months, over the rest of the year, and how that's going to affect both the primary and the general election? Do
Democrats shift blame to President Trump on this, Devin?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a no-brainer. The president started a war that was not necessary. His own people are saying that there was not intelligence, that Iran was an immediate threat to the United States. And so to make this very knee-jerk decision at the time when people feel like that this was to distract from some of the president's other shortcomings, including the Epstein files, that this is, an opportunity for Democrats to really get tight on their message around how the president is causing pain in people's pocketbooks because of decisions that are being made largely because of ego and the willingness to distract from other issues that are being litigated in Washington, D.C. right now.
Now, let me bring in Chauncey on this, because how does this impact if you have somebody like Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who has a very strong endorsement from President Trump? Does this hurt him?
I think that's probably one of the main questions of this election cycle. This has been an issue that has kind of fractured the MAGA base, which obviously candidates like Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones are really counting on strong support from those who support the president. We've seen the feud that has erupted between the president and Marjorie Taylor Greene, largely over the America First agenda, but also the Epstein files release. A lot of Trump supporters, both in Georgia and across the country, feel like the president has kind of broken some of his campaign promises, particularly on getting us out of foreign wars instead of getting us into one that many perceive to be done in the interest of Israel and not in the interest of the United States.
Spiro, if you're somebody like Chris Carr who is trying to come out of these single digits, what's your move here?
Yeah, I think either he or Brad Raffensperger right now. I mean, you've got Rick Jackson and Burt Jones who are, the tensions are escalating rapidly and the race is kind of deteriorating. Whichever candidate, I think, can emerge as kind of the adult in the room, if there is such a thing anymore. If you're Raffensperger or Carr, I think you've got to be thinking, okay, let's separate ourselves. Let's find a lane where we can kind of be the voice of reason if you're one of them.
Because Republicans who are tying themselves to being Trump's biggest supporter, or I'm going to be his biggest ally in Congress or as governor, that's not really going to square well with independent voters who are mad about the fact that the president lied to them, essentially, and said that he was going to focus on America first, that he was going to stop the hemorrhaging of the American economy. We've seen anything but that.
We do have to wrap. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We will be right back after this commercial break. Nabilah Parks, a Democrat from Gwinnett County, recently resigned from the state Senate as she focuses on her run for lieutenant governor. She talked with Zach Merchant on a recent edition of 11 Alive News on 11 Alive Plus to talk about her decision.
I've always considered myself as a progressive Democrat, and I have fought for issues, as I said before, to lower the cost of living for Georgians, to fight for reproductive freedom in the state. Heck, I even sued the governor because I wanted him to investigate the election board in 2024 when they were trying to delay the presidential results. I think it's important to have a diverse ages in government, but we need more young people to step up and run. And I'm glad to see this trend because we are the folks that are actually living through so many of these crises that are happening right now. And I'm going to fight that much harder because I'm living through it.
Why do you want to be Georgia's next lieutenant governor?
Well, we have to lower the cost of living in the state of Georgia. And I will fight to protect our fundamental freedoms like reproductive rights, voting rights, and make sure that we actually expand healthcare in the state of Georgia.
You also chose to resign from your seat representing District 7 out of Duluth. You resigned from the state Senate on March 13th. Why did you decide to resign?
So my resignation does not change the balance of power in the state Senate. Right now, bad bill after bad bill after bad bill is being passed. It is atrocious. And I'm running to be the next lieutenant governor to stop these bad bills, to stop this extremism that we keep seeing. Also, another thing is, I am not independently wealthy. I wish I was, but I can't just give myself loans like my opponents have. And so as a woman and a woman of color, you got to work 10 times harder to raise the resources to have a competitive campaign.
What would you say to some constituents who may feel like by you resigning, they lost their voice in the state Senate at a pretty pivotal time in the state capitol?
I would tell them that I am fighting to change that. Because right now, all those bad bills that are coming through the Senate are going to pass because Republicans have the majority. I am sick and tired of this, and I'm running to change that because the extremism is out of hand. The anti-immigration sentiment is out of hand. The anti-women sentiment is out of hand. Women are dying because of our state's regressive abortion policies.
Now, Parks faces State Senator Josh McLaurin and Richard Wright in that Democratic Lieutenant Governor primary coming up on May 19th. Stay with us. We are headed to Middle Georgia next for our Voice of the Voter. Well, each week on the Georgia Vote, we shine a spotlight on you, the voter. And this week's Voice of the Voter takes us to Middle Georgia, where we hear from Sandra Milby.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sandra Milby, and I live and work in the Middle Georgia area. For the past 18 years, our family has owned and operated Visiting Angels of Central Georgia and Visiting Angels Tifton. Every single day, it's my job to connect families with the care that they need in some of the most challenging times of their lives. As our state prepares for what we're calling the silver tsunami, we need to recognize the growing need of our aging population. In the state of Georgia, there are more than 700,000 veterans, and many of them don't fully understand the benefits of long-term care options that are available to them. We need stronger education around long-term care planning, dementia support, and veterans benefits. We do have hope. There is a new Medicare guide program for seniors living with a dementia diagnosis, and expanded VA benefits are becoming available, but knowledge is key. So as we think about our future, please keep our seniors and our veterans in mind. They deserve support and access to the care that they have earned.
Our thanks to Sandra for sending that. And we hope that you send in your video so they could be here on the Georgia Vote. Hey, thank you so much for watching us today. We hope to see you back here next Sunday at 11 for another edition of the Georgia Vote.